Egyptian Diary Part 2 in Forge of Empires. In Part 1 I received the request for help from Queen Nefertiti and traveled up the Nile to develop a modest city into a bustling metropolis worthy of the gods. It was a journey into uncertainty. Shortly after my arrival, I put my stamp on the city. I moved the temple closer to the banks of the Nile, built clay huts, a grain farm, and Nubian archery ranges. I used the starting capital of 9,000 Deben for road construction and recruiting Nubian archers. Soon I will be able to book the first tax revenues. With the completion of the Nubian archery ranges, the first 2 Nubian archers can now be trained. The grain farm only wants to work if it is paid with war loot. That's a very strange attitude from the farmers, instead of them being happy to have a livelihood. But as a guest in a foreign country, I have to accept their customs and traditions. Soon the Nubian archers from the rebellious neighboring cities will bring rich spoils of war. This will also ensure sustainable grain production. Regardless of the cost, I will unlock all slots in the Nubian shooting ranges. Despite the tax revenue, I only have 1,870 Deben left. Fighting wars has always been expensive. I have to keep an eye on that. I then sent 8 Nubian archers to a rebellious neighboring town, which scouts have classified as relatively easy to defeat. I don't bring myself into the fight. I see myself as an urban planner and trader, not as a warrior. Let the Nubians do it themselves. On their return, they report on enemy war elephants and chariots. They are proud to have defeated them without any losses. My decision to trust the Nubians seems to have been right. Nefertiti attests me efficiency in view of the success, but says I am rough and inelegant. She rewards me with additional spoils of war from her stocks. Now the farmers have no more reason to complain and the grain production can start. This is exactly what Nefertiti now expects from me. The temple, which I have made my embassy and domicile, has a steady income of 600 Deben daily through the offerings of the people. In addition, tax revenues continue to bubble up. The scouts have identified another easy opponent. Once again, my brave Nubians are successful, albeit with small losses. These are immediately compensated again in the archery ranges. Nefertiti is happy about the harvest of the grain farm and says that it will bring the inhabitants over the next few weeks. I, on the other hand, urge the farmers to replant immediately. A fertile soil, enough water, and plenty of sunshine make many harvests possible. For part of the harvest, I negotiate a land extension for the city. Nefertiti expects me to engage myself diplomatically. I will keep an eye on this, but first I am betting that a bigger city will also bring greater success. Other objectives would be more of a hindrance. As soon as all Nubians are fit again, I will send them to the next battle. This time, the scouts think that it is a somewhat difficult opponent. Again, the archers are successful and there are more spoils of war. The fighter that got lost in the battle will be replaced immediately. In view of the tax revenues that continue to bubble up, I can afford this warfare. Also, the second harvest brings me a lot of grain and again I can realize an extension of the area. I use these to settle more Egyptians. However, 2 clay huts have no road connection and that fool of tax collector does not get his feet dirty to get there. So They remain untaxed for the time being. With the additional population, I can now build a second grain farm. This will double my cereal production. I have enough spoils of war for that. Here again the tips of today summarized. Often there's only a production to start. If this isn't done, hours will be lost. To be able to do this always in time, it helps a lot to use the app. I even set the alarm clock on my smartphone to match.